with this without sounding.
I mean, just say it.
Yeah,
Because it's the truth.
it is. And that is what
And
I'm
it's your
talking about.
truth, too.
Operating with grace and truth. Grace of forgiving yourself, forgiving, like, I went almost an entire year without operating a business. Yes, I had two babies in like 15 months. So I had a pretty tough year for myself with what giving birth and stuff. But I look back on that and I'm like, I could have done more. And that is how crazy an entrepreneur can think too. I just gave birth to two babies in 15 months. I have a newborn and another baby, and I'm having all these health issues. And in my head, I still think I could have built a business
Wow.
and done more.
It's amazing.
And I don't know how to turn that off. It's a fault of mine and a flaw of mine for sure, but it's also something that I'm very proud of because I don't want that to ever turn off
Right.
either. Like it's on both spectrums. Like how do I control that? But so I'm giving myself grace of, you know what? You could have done more, probably. We'll agree. We could have done more. But it's okay. If you had two babies in 15 months and you have a 5-year-old also and, you're building a family and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I also have the truth of if I sulk in that and if I am so harsh on myself that it keeps me from moving forward, then I'm not going to do anything. The truth is I have to start something in order to move past that. I can't just keep going years and years and years without doing something, without feeling I'm going to feel so empty and unfulfilled.
Right.
So there's grace. I forgive myself. But the truth is I need to start something and I need to get passionate about something again, or else I'm going to lose my mind.
Hey guys, what's up, entrepreneurs? This is your host, Skylar Schisler of the show, The Entrepreneur Theory, where we take your dreams and make them into a reality. And today I got two lovely ladies on the show today to talk about their new business. But before I do that, I just want to take a moment and I want to tell you about our friends. I really want to tell you about Lacey. When I first met Lacey, actually her husband and I were in the same business together and we worked a lot together. And I remember seeing him go from wanting to be in a relationship with her to now having three beautiful children and making an amazing home. And, when I think about the Nevin family, when I think about Lacey, there's a phrase, keeping up with the Joneses. Well, I think it should be keeping up with the Nevins. And I just love their family. I love what they do. I get sad sometimes because I don't get to spend as much time with them since they're now in Colorado and we're in Florida. But I really want to highlight their new business. It's Cool Moms Customs, and they created it from scratch just about 6 weeks ago. And we're going to talk about that process. But little Ashtyn right there, I want everybody to meet her. She is amazing, and she's going to share why she started this idea and why she's excited. So without further ado, welcome Lacey, Nevin, and Ashtyn to the show.
Hello, thank you. Ashtyn
Hey.
can't hear you, so she doesn't know that you're introducing us.
It's all
but
good.
but
Absolutely.
thank you so much for having us on here, and thank you for creating something like this that allows people like us to own these small businesses from home and have growing families. Although ours is done growing at this point, we are no longer expanding the Nevin name. Drink
All
enough for
right.
us. But Ashtyn, okay, sweet girl. But Ashtyn, I just want to tell a little bit of a story of how Ashtyn was able to come and create her company. She's 5 years old, about to be 6 in February, and
All right.
she has her entire life has grown up watching us, Jason and I, my husband and I, start businesses. And this is probably the first time that we started one that she's old enough to realize what's going on.
Yeah.
Hey, sweet girl, come on. To realize what's going on. So 6 weeks ago, I started Cool Mom Customs. It's been an idea for a long time, but we also have a 3-month-old. So it kind of was
Okay.
at, I'm either going to start this before I give birth to our newborn, or I'm going to wait and do it after because I know the beginning is a lot of hours, a lot of effort, and a lot of work. And was I prepared to be 9 months pregnant into that?
Right.
Or was I prepared to have a brand new baby and do that? And I picked
Right.
brand new baby and we went with it. So Ashtyn saw me putting in a lot of work, and she one day asked me on our way home from the gym, or on our way to the gym, she asked, "Why are you starting a business?" And it was so cool that she asked me that, because your why is by far one of the most important reasons to start a business. If
Yeah.
you hold on to your why through all of the stuff, like all of the parts that are just terrible, your why is the thing that keeps you doing it.
Yeah.
So when she asked me that, I just explained to her the passion. I explained to her what it feels like to overcome obstacles and really shoot high and shoot for big goals and find victories and find the small wins and why that meant so much to me. And she kind of just sat there with a long, quiet pause. And honestly, like internally, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm working too much. This is why she's asking me these things, because she's experiencing for the first time that her mom isn't 100% all attention to her at this age. And so I was waiting for some sort of negative response. And instead, she just said, well, can I start one too? And I was like, this is genius. A Cool Mom Customs needs an Ashtyn to create her own. So
Yeah.
she actually has her shirt. She has, you want to show me your shirt, please? She has Cool Ashtyn Customs.
Oh,
That's
look
her
at
logo
that.
and her brand.
That's
She's
awesome.
very, very stylish, very cool.
Aw.
And she can tell you more about it. As soon as we decided this is what we were going to do, and I asked her, I said, this is going
Yeah.
to put in some work, all of that, she was on board 100% and ready to learn. So whatever you can ask.
All right. Hey, Ashtyn.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome to the show. And first and foremost, I want to say congratulations on creating your new business.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, can you tell me why you started Cool Ashton Customs?
Um, my mama was doing it, and I really wanted to do one, so I wanted to do one.
Oh, what a great reason to start a business, right?
Hmm?
Yeah. What are your products?
Bracelets and pictures.
Bracelets and pictures? Oh, will you make a picture for me so I can buy it?
Well, don't forget it's $200.
It's $200? I'll pay
Yes.
for it. I mean, I can't say no to that. Are you kidding me?
Okay, fine.
Hey, are you having fun with your mom creating stuff? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Are you proud to be partnered with your mommy?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. It's fun to do fun stuff with mom, huh?
Mhm.
Yeah. So really, what's your goal? Do you have a goal in mind with this? Do you want to make a certain amount of money?
I'm gonna make $100.
$100? I think you're gonna do just fine with that goal. I think you are. Yeah. Did you make any products for your sister and your brother?
Mm-mm.
No, that's in the works, right? Then I got one more question for you, okay? All right. So when you grow up and you've made all this money because you have such great ideas, what do you want to do with that money?
Go buy toys.
You want to go buy toys? I would have the same answer as well. Well, I thank you so much for being on my show today.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Are you nervous to be on the show? Yeah, I know. It's hard to be in front of the camera, but guess what? A lot of people are just gonna love you. You are the cutest little thing. All righty. All right. Well, thank you. She did great. She did
We're
awesome.
working on it.
Hey, you know what? That is, I'm really proud to see that. It makes me tear up because I remember, doing just a lemonade stand and watching my kid make his first, $50 in a couple hours, and he was just the face, and it's so cool to see that childlike wonder that we should all have.
Mhm. Yep. And she's not
Absolutely.
afraid to ask for a sale, and she's not afraid to up the price.
I know. I think she's
Everything is
got me.
valuable.
I think she's
Yeah.
got me for $200 for a picture. I'm pretty sure.
Apparently, we're painting it with gold.
Oh, really? It's
Apparently,
it's a one of a kind.
$200,
I know,
right?
right?
Mhm.
That's awesome. So, growing up your kids, while we're talking about Ashton and we're talking about kids and business, um, you know, one of the things you said earlier was your why is your family, right? Your why is your kiddos, but how important is it for you to chase your goals and dreams in front of them?
Um, very much. And so, growing up, my dad has always been an entrepreneur. He actually didn't even finish high school, which is crazy. Him and my mom had my sister and I in their teens up in New York, and so they kind of just did a bunch of jobs, made ends meet, and like we didn't grow up in a great neighborhood. But my dad ended up being an extremely successful manufacturer and owning multiple different companies. And watching that, me as a kid, and having so much pride in my dad of like watching him
Mhm.
just succeed, but not only at financially, like he grew. Like every single time that him and I hung out, our big thing is we go to the library and we would just read, and he would point out books, and we wouldn't ever finish them, but it was just fun to watch my parent want to improve himself so much as a kid that it made me be like, well, if he's still learning, maybe I have something to learn too.
Mm.
And watching him go through all of that as an entrepreneur, it makes me want to create something like that and even better for my kids now.
So,
Mhm.
your dad was an entrepreneur. He's growing businesses. Now, fast forward many years, and you're creating businesses. What does it feel like to have a parent that you can almost, I wouldn't say lean on? Obviously, I know your dad's probably a lot like me. He's not going to do it for you, but he's probably going to give you some great guidance, right? How was that a deciding factor in any businesses, or were you just like, I'm doing it whether with or without?
Um, it's more he encouraged me and taught me how to fail because he's failed a lot. And every
Very
time that he
important.
failed, he never cared. Like it never phased him. It wasn't detrimental to his success, his failure. Like it he just was like, okay, well that didn't work, so I'll try something new. And it was almost like it didn't even happen. And so that seeing that and continuing to see that he's still trying new things and still failing miserably, and it's awesome. But seeing that, it makes me be like, you know what, I'll literally try anything, and if it fails, at least I know that wasn't what I was meant to do. But at least I tried, because then I would have thought about it for the rest of my life, and I
Yeah.
would have been like, I wish I would have tried that. But I'd
Mm,
rather try and fail and fall on my face than I had to go through that to find something new for me to go try.
right. Oh,
Yep.
100%. So I mean, so we met, many years ago in a business, and we met and since then life has changed completely. I mean, since then I know of at least four businesses and some nonprofits. I know that you're a mover and shaker, and I know that when you get something in your head, you're a lot like me. You're a lot like a lot of people that are entrepreneurs. You get unreasonable. You really, it's like a burning desire, and unless you get it out, it's gonna sit there, and it's like a sliver. It's gonna fester, and it's just it's annoying, right? So what are some of the processes to taking those ideas and making them into a reality? I mean, I've seen you take so many cool ideas. I mean, one of them that I really like is the raise to rise idea, just because it's a really simple idea, but adds so much value for a very, very small amount to most families, right? Like when you take an idea like that, what does it look like to take it from here, put it on paper, and then launch it as a company?
Yeah, so yeah, that idea, the Raise the Rise idea, came from, we went to a Christian conference, my sister, myself, my mom, and Jason, and my husband. And we went, it was just a whole bunch of Christian entrepreneurs. And that meant a lot to us because it's a
Hmm.
crazy world right now, and we stand strong in our beliefs. So we wanted
Amen.
to see how other business owners were doing so. We're running successful businesses without falling into this trap that society is laying, that if you don't agree with me, we won't buy from you. So how do we stay strong to what we believe and still have a successful business without being an extreme on either end?
Right.
And that's why we went to that conference, is we wanted to learn how other people were doing it in their faith. And that is actually, we were there with an idea of a different company. And while we were there, we were inspired of what can we actually bring to the table that we know really well. Because there's sometimes when you're coming up with these ideas of what business you want to start or what idea as an entrepreneur that you want to launch, it's hard to want to go towards the ones that are financially successful quickly, that have all these big dreams, the Lamborghini bikini lifestyle that all these companies and ideas can pitch, that are these get rich quick. This has the largest margin with lowest overhead. This is the type of business you do, but you're not necessarily passionate about it. And so that's one of those companies, one of those ideas of just, we could make a lot of money. Let's go from this conference, learn how to start it and with our faith, and just start this business over here. And then we left there with, that is not how we should do anything. Just because it has the potential to bring in a lot of money, and if it's not necessarily something you know a lot about or are passionate about, why would you go and do that?
Right.
And so we left with an idea that we were passionate about, that wasn't necessarily guaranteed to bring us a lot of money, and it had quite a bit of overhead, but we were like, you know what, we could get excited about this. And we could, when you're excited about something, it's not hard work, it's just figuring it out and moving on to the next step because you're excited. So Raise to Rise came from that Christian conference that we went to. And basically the idea behind that was, we were going to create a newsletter, and we wanted it to be tangible, because so many things are like a ebook or something. And for me, I always absorb more information when it's in my hands. So we wanted to be a tangible newsletter, magazine-esque thing that had different topics to it. It had about 20 different topics to it of how families can get closer to each other. So it's put the phones away. Here's a game you could play. Here's a fun way to get your kids public speaking. Here's a fun way to get your kids doing exercises that could help with coordination. So all aspects of personal development that us as adults take in, we wanted to create something that parents could use as a reference or as an outline to help with the personal growth and personal development of their kids. So that was Raised to Rise for us. And then we actually ended up, when I had Carson, I had some health issues when I was pregnant with Carson. So we were like, okay, it wasn't a great time for me. And it was just my sister and I running it at the time. And my sister was working full time, and she has 2 kids of her own. So we're like, we're going to have to put the pause button on this. And then shortly after having Carson, we had another one, and I had health problems with that one. So that one, we still own, we still have everything that's attached to it. We still have the copyrights and the LLC and everything and all the licenses for that. We just had to put a pause button about almost 2 years ago, and we unfortunately haven't gone back to it yet.
That's okay. I mean, but you're when you're talking about your dad, I mean, these are all little pieces of the puzzle that is, going to grow this empire that you guys are creating, because you guys have some amazing ideas. I mean, you've created, a nutrition company, with brain food. I remember when you guys were working on that, and with nootropics, right? And what a great way to give people energy without the caffeine crash. I mean, I remember you guys came up with a travel regiment where, when you're traveling across the United States, you're on a plane with a bunch of people. What better way to stay healthy? You guys have created some really cool ideas. So my question to you then is, what do you think, what is your definition of an entrepreneur?
An entrepreneur is a creator. That's what they are. They not only do they come up with ideas, but then they bring them into actuality. They bring them into reality. They actually create. They're the person that can take an idea and make it real. There's lots of people with lots of ideas. Doesn't make them an entrepreneur. What it makes them is a person with a really good idea. The entrepreneur is the person who says, I don't know how we're going to figure it out, but let's just start. Let's take the first step, and then they keep taking steps. And that's the entrepreneur. It's not necessarily someone who makes a lot of money. Most of the time, it's not. Most of the time, they make the money, but then if they're truly the entrepreneur, they are putting that money back into another idea, and who knows where it goes then.
Absolutely.
So entrepreneurs are on this, right? entrepreneur, we're on this crazy cycle of make money, lose money, make money, lose money. And it's like, if you're an entrepreneur and you're in it for the money, you're in it for the wrong reasons, because that's not what the end goal is. Like, money doesn't mean anything to me. I mean, yes, it does. Of course it does. And as a family, as a mother to 3 children, it has to. But I'm not doing things for the money. I'm doing things for the excitement, the adrenaline rush that you get, the growth that you get. Like, you could take a small thing here, and then in a year watch what it's become. And that's what I'm after. That journey, that what that year took, every step we had to take, and every failure and win. That's we're chasing highs and lows. Is pretty
Yeah,
much what an entrepreneur is doing.
absolutely. Guilty. Guilty. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What do they call a serial entrepreneur sometimes? And
Oh, for sure.
and the thing is there's a stigma around it. But the thing, man, this is where I almost get emotional, because I remember when I've had friends and family ask me, why can't I just be a guy who goes and gets a job and just has a steady income for my family? And I would say back to them now, having hindsight being 2020, I wouldn't have been able to travel all the places I've traveled to. I wouldn't be able to have the conversations and know the inside scoop on the things that would either hurt my family or help my family. There's a lot of things that being an entrepreneur allows you, above and beyond just money and comfort. It allows you the knowledge of how the world works, right? And what it takes to really win. So back up early years, I know that you were a collegiate soccer player. Like, let's go back to the younger years. How did that prime you into becoming an entrepreneur, starting businesses, and creating these ideas?
Yeah. So sports were everything to me growing up. I'm very much a perfectionist when it comes to my work. Not necessarily like, if something were out of place, it doesn't bother me. But I'm a perfectionist where I have to be the best. And if I'm not, as long as it's not a priority of mine, I'm okay with not being the best. But as soon as being the best becomes a priority of mine, game over. Like, I will outwork everyone.
Hmm.
And that is what I learned growing up in sports. And my sister is 2 years older, so growing up I would play a lot on her teams, and I would be little and small and all that. And I loved being the underdog, because when I crushed them, it was like the coolest story ever. And that's like where I learned this idea of go after things that, like, some of the girls I was playing against were like 2 feet taller than me at a time when we were like going into puberty. Everyone's growing and I'm still like this because I'm so much younger than everyone. But I loved showing them up and then being like, look at
Mm.
this 11-year-old girl just. So like that high of being the underdog and doing something amazing with being the underdog is what I think drove me into entrepreneurship. But growing up in sports, I also learned my parents are a very intense person, and I was shaped by two, actually three, my stepdad including, great, all of them are great people. um they are we they had high standards for me. So they just expected a lot out of me. And when I talk to people about this, they're like, man, that sounds intense. That sounds like that was a childhood that would stress me out. And they're like, you would think, but it didn't. If anything, it gave me confidence. If my parents expected a lot from me, that means they thought that I was capable of it.
Hmm.
I took it more as they thought I could do great things. And if they think that, then I need to think that too. And growing up in sports, my coaches were very hard on me. It was like screaming. It was not like it is now. Like, if I didn't get to play, if I sat on the bench, I knew exactly why, and there was no like, it's okay, you'll get time next game. It was like, work your booty off, and then if you do that, and then you improve your game, then you'll play next game. I had to learn that not everyone gets a trophy, and it's tough because I was Ashtyn soccer season this year and last year, and she's 5, and it's like, at what point do I tone it down? I don't. I
Right.
don't. Jason is helping with that. Jason's very much better at including and all of that. Where I'm
Yeah.
like, if you're gonna swing and miss the ball, I'm just gonna sit you on the bench because they're 5, so I have to be careful. But growing up in sports and growing up that you could get cut, that not everyone made the team. If you don't work at home and out, not out, if you work you can't just do the bare minimum. Everyone on the team is going to practice. Everyone on the team is going in the game. Not everyone is at home running circles around their neighborhood trying to build up their endurance. They're not doing it, but I will, because I want to outplay everyone. And that is kind of what it taught me going into adulthood,
Mm-hmm.
is that there's no easy way. And the only way to be better than everyone is to work harder than everyone. And it's not even a comparison of like, I'm better than her, she's better than me. It's more so, if I have to be this good to be on the starting lineup, I will do whatever it takes to be that good. Like, no wavering, no going around it. That's what it's going to be, and I'm going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And now, though, as an adult, as a woman, as a mother, I understand I have to tone that down a bit. It's are hard when you're an intense person.
Yes.
I'm I like to consider myself a problem solver, a solution finder, and sometimes people just want you to listen, and I have to understand when to separate the two. A lot of times, I find that, especially in the world today, like women, especially when you go on social media, we're all bonding over our faults. We're all bonding over being tired and not feeling like we love our bodies. And we were bonding over these things that I'm like, why do we have to smoke in this? And come across as intense and toxic. But my thing is, we can operate with the grace of giving ourselves grace of going down these routes of not loving who we are, not loving our bodies, not loving how tired we are, not loving what we eat every day. But we also have to, we can accept those things, but we also have to operate in truth of grace. This happened. I've slacked. I've eaten this. I've done this. I don't love my relationship with my husband. I don't that. It's like, okay, let's forgive that. Now let's move to truth. Because if you don't do something that is going to change that, it's going to be detrimental to your life. So the truth of it is where I start getting intense. I was like, okay, you don't love your body, so let's go to the gym. Let's do 5 days a week, and let's cut out all sugars from your diet. And that, in this day and age, I feel comes across as insensitive, and it's not.
I agree.
It's just not. Yeah, but it can be. Or friends joking about needing a glass of wine to go to sleep every night. I'm not the friend that's going to laugh at that. I'm going to say that sounds like an actual like issue that we should probably handle. So that's where I lose a lot of friendships as well. So the way that I was raised made me a very intense person. It also made me chase after things that I want and make sure that I get it. And that also comes across in this day and age as cocky, where I don't find it as cocky, I find it as confidence. And that's what I want to teach my kids is, if you can, soccer and sports. I was also a diver in college too. I played semi-pro soccer in Florida and then professional arena soccer in Canada.
Awesome.
Those things, all of this stuff that I've done has like prepared me to understand that there's things can be black and white. It doesn't have to be so complicated. Like, if you want to be good, train. What else does there have to be a part of it? If you want to be a good entrepreneur, work hard. Learn. There's no other. I was just talking to a girl in my inbox on Instagram that I went to high school with, and I had posted a 16-week postpartum fitness picture. I won a Fitness America in 2018. So I've been sticking with bodybuilding, and that's another thing. That was my rookie year, winning the entire national competition.
You did amazing.
If I want something, I'm gonna do it. Backtrack. I was talking to her, and she's like, "I wish I had your motivation." And I remember, like, I try to not be rude. I try to not be a jerk, because she didn't mean anything jerky by it.
Right.
When I hear things like that, I'm like, no, you don't. Like, I don't sleep. You don't want my motivation. I'm not a very motivational person. I won't give you a pep talk. If I have to talk you and motivate you into doing something, you're going to quit it in a few weeks. But I will inspire you if you want. Like, I will show by example what working hard looks like. And if that inspires you to do something, that is awesome. But I will not be like, you can do it. You go. I won't be that person. I won't cheer for you. I will clap for you when you overcome an obstacle. but I'm not going to be the person cheering from behind, hoping that you do well. If you want to do well, you'll do well. And so I said to her, I was like, well, what am I doing that you couldn't do? And she's like, I'm a single mom. I have one kid. I'm a single mom. I wouldn't be able to make it to the gym as many times as you do. And I go, I only go 5 times a week for an hour. And she's like, yeah, but I work full time. So great. I own a business that I'm putting 60, 70 hours into right now. And I wasn't trying to argue with her. I was trying to just show her, but it comes across argumentative when I start doing these things that I do
Mm-hmm.
and gain all these friends that I gain from it.
And I see, here's the thing. I don't see anything wrong with that. Like,
I
okay,
know.
because
I know.
so we, we as entrepreneurs and as traveling across the country and stuff, obviously our families, we don't get to hang out all the time. But when we do, it's like a family reunion, and there's no BS, and it's quick, and it's like catch up,
Right.
let's talk about your idea, let's talk about my idea, let's throw some politics, let's do this, like come on, come on, come on, let's go. And the reason why is because there's no Eeyore, there's no, oh well, there's none of that. It's and so what I love about you and Jason and spending time with you guys is it is like drinking an energy drink to be around you, because it doesn't take effort, because I don't have to lift you up every time I have a conversation. And so I'm inspired by it and I love it. I wish I could spend more time around you guys. Obviously, we're halfway across, or more than halfway across the country, but I admire it, and and that's what makes you successful. And again, we appreciate
Yeah. Whatever.
it.
It's a very selfish way for me to inspire other people. Is just shooting for big goals,
Yeah.
working hard towards them, and then if it inspires someone, cool.
Yeah.
Like that's not and this might sound bad, but my ultimate goal in all of this is not to inspire people. It's
Right.
really not. It's I have my own selfish reasons that I do things, and if people are watching and it gets them off their butts to do something that they've always wanted to do with their
Yeah.
life, then so be it. Like
Uh-huh.
cool. But that's not why I'm doing it. I obviously have my own reasons and
Right.
my own things that I'm shooting for. It's more it's I don't know how to put this without sounding
I mean, just say it.
yeah,
Because it's the truth.
it is. And that is what
And
I'm
it's your
talking
truth,
about.
too.
Operating with grace and truth. Grace of forgiving yourself, forgiving like I went almost an entire year without operating a business. Yes, I had 2 babies in like 15 months. So I had a pretty tough year for myself with what giving birth and stuff. But I look back on that and I'm like, I could have done more. And that is how crazy an entrepreneur can think too. I just gave birth to 2 babies in 15 months. I have a newborn and another baby, and I'm having all these health issues. And in my head, I still think I could have built a business
Wow.
and done more.
It's amazing.
And I don't know how to turn that off. It's a fault of mine and a flaw of mine for sure, but it's also something that I'm very proud of, because I don't want that to ever turn off
Right.
either. Like it's on both spectrums. Like how do I control that? But so I'm giving myself grace of, you know what? You could have done more, probably. We'll agree. We could have done more. But it's okay if you had 2 babies in 15 months and you have a 5-year-old also, and you're building a family and
Mm-hmm.
everything. But I also have the truth of, if I sulk in that, and if I am so harsh on myself that it keeps me from moving forward, then I'm not going to do anything. The truth is, I have to start something in order to move past that. I can't just keep going years and years and years without doing something, without feeling I'm going to feel so empty and unfulfilled.
Right.
So there's grace. I forgive myself, but the truth is, I need to start something, and I need to get passionate about something again, or else I'm going to lose my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how I try to operate with everything: is grace. Forgive myself. That happened. I let myself go. I just ate a box of Oreos, although we don't do that. That's just an example. But I'll forgive myself. But if I don't get on 100 grams of protein tomorrow, at least, that's the truth. I have to, or else it's going to be a slippery slope that I'm going down. So forgive yourself, move on to the truth.
Lacey Nevin putting on a clinic right now. I mean, I seriously, I love everything that you're saying, because we have this society right now where everything's all inclusive, right? And I get it. We got to love our neighbor, and we need to help people along, but at the same time, to what detriment, right? There comes a point as an adult in this life that you have to get off your butt and you have to decide what you're going to do with it. And you know what? When you make that decision, people will come around you. It may not be the people that you think, but there will be people that come around you. And here's the other thing. If your motivation is to just sit and lounge and watch Netflix and binge, that's fine too. But don't get mad at me when, I'm achieving my goals and I am working hard towards something. Just because we have different desires for our life doesn't mean one's right or wrong. It's just that's where I'm going, and so it's all good. Like, it's all good. And so how, over the past years, how have you dealt with those moments where you run against somebody, and like in your business, or a partner that you're trying to launch something, and they're kind of getting in your way? How do you let them go out of your life without ruining your ultimate goal?
I think if you're honest, it will never come back to bite you in the butt.
Mm,
So you just say it how it is. Like, and it's hard. I'm a very confrontational person in a way that I'm not out looking for confrontation, but if it needs
right,
to be had, I don't have any issue having it.
right.
So I've had to let go of a few friends a lot, just because
Yeah,
just because when I get on the phone with them, they're complaining. And I say to them, like, why is it so bad? What's so bad about what you're telling me? And what can we do to fix it? Because this is where I come in, to where I'm a problem solver. So if you tell me that you're so swamped with work, or you're so swamped with things that you're doing in your daily life, and you're miserable and you're sad, I'm like, okay, well, let's get you up at 5 in the morning. Meet me at the gym. Let's go lift. Let's get some energy back in your blood. And they're like, oh, I wouldn't be able to get up that early. And I'm like, okay, I can't handle that. I can't handle being able to give, if someone is going to complain to me, and it does, it's draining to listen to someone complain.
yeah,
And we are, as entrepreneurs, are drained. We are giving all of our energy we've got to the things that mean the most to us, our
right,
businesses, our family. We're already giving 100%. So if we come across someone who wants to tell me how hard it is to eat clean, or to make choices like turn their TV off, I have a hard time with not giving them a solution. And if they don't want to take it, I can't be around that. I can't do that.
right,
I can't keep listening to the same problems. So I have come across, and I mean, there's people that you just love them where they're at, and maybe you don't have to completely close that bridge and break that bridge. It doesn't have to be like this big
right.
fancy friendship breakup, but it could be, maybe you just don't call them for a few weeks, or maybe you just distance yourself while you're in this season of what you're
Hmm.
doing, until you feel that maybe you have the energy to have the Eeyore talk.
Right,
And if that is what it has to, that the ER talk has to happen every single conversation, that person needs to figure themselves out.
right,
And you don't need to be the person that fixes them.
right,
And that's, as women, we try to fix everyone. That's who we are. That's like naturally what we want to do. So we're problem solvers. And if that person doesn't want to be fixed,
hmm,
we like almost glitch in our system. Like nothing, it doesn't calculate in our head.
hmm.
So having just honest conversations, blurting it out, like Jason and I think this is why we work so well, because Jason doesn't take anything personally, and as soon as something happens that like irks me just a little, I'm just gonna let him know, and I'm just gonna say it. It's not an argument. I'm not trying to demean him. It's not me calling him names. It's not that. It is, hey, you did this. It bothered me. Just don't do it again. And I'll be like, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize. Okay, and we're done. We don't need to let things. So that's how I handle my friendships. That's how I handle interactions with having partners that own companies with us. If they do something, or they had a deadline of something that they were working on and I was working on mine, and I brought mine to the table and they did not, I'm just gonna ask them, where is it? Like, what stopped you from doing that, and what's your plan to get it done?
Hmm.
And if they don't have that direct black and white answer for me, then we have to start thinking about maybe this isn't for you. Maybe this
Mm.
isn't something that you actually want for yourself, because I'm not going to hold your hand through it.
Mm-hmm.
We can walk side by side together, but
Right.
if I want it more than you want it, we shouldn't be partners.
Mm-hmm. Man, I
And
love
that's
the power that gives you, and it also it makes you the rock in the relationship. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm going into battle or I'm in a storm, you want to shore up to a big, boulder that's not going to move. You don't want to be part of this little lily that's just kind of flopping in the wind. And that's what I love about people that are open, honest, and solution oriented, is because they become the rock, especially when we come into, possibly a time like we're about ready to come into, where there might be a recession coming, right? Like, rocks stay there. They don't move. They stay on the path. And those are the people that, when times get tough, they do come and they anchor up, right? And I want to take this moment. Okay, so as an entrepreneur myself, we listen to our gut, and something in my gut is telling me I need to share something with you. Remember years ago, we were both part of a company that had started failing and they were missing payments, right? And you and Jason loved my family and our friends enough to warn us. And I remember I didn't know how to take that, because this is my baby. I've spent 8+ years building this thing, and you guys came over and you're like, I think this is what's happening. And I almost put blinders on, like, I don't want to listen to that, right? And here we are, years, what, 4 years later after that conversation, and you were right. And I want to tell you that I appreciate that. I know I didn't maybe heed the warning or listen, but you loved me enough, you loved my team, my family enough to tell us that, hey, something doesn't smell right and we need to pay attention. And you weren't being super negative, you weren't being Debbie Downers, but you're saying, look, pay attention. And I really appreciate that. Hindsight being 2020, I sure wish I would have moved my pieces on the chess game a little sooner. And I want to thank you for that publicly. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Well, and that everything that happened, like, just it failing, it's like, I'm not a crier. I
Hmm.
cried. Like, as soon as we found out the information, because we all worked so hard on that.
Oh
Like,
my
did we not
goodness.
give everything we had to that? And it is one of those moments when that happens and we're sitting there with nothing. Like, we worked so hard, and now, not that we have nothing, we have experience, we have lessons that we learned, but we are sitting there being like, this is what we thought it was going to be, and we just found out it's not. The next move, what we do next, is what decides if we were meant for entrepreneurship or not.
Right.
Because it's the ups and downs, and we're in the downs. And I mean, we have friends who started companies that it didn't work out, and all they talk about is the failure of this company. And I'm like, I have companies that didn't work out, and I barely ever bring those up. I did learn a lot from them. I learned. Uh, I was 21 when I became part of the company, and I think it went, and when we were 24, 2017, I think.
Is when
Um,
it, yeah.
I was still, yeah, I was still very young, and it taught me to not believe everything I heard,
Mm.
because I think that's what happened in that situation. The only reason I even looked into the negative red flags was because of my dad. Because I was telling him, I called him as soon as, like, the first red flag, but I was also already being reassured by everyone else that it was okay. So I was
Right.
like, I don't know, just something feels like it's not. So I call him, and he's like, hold on, what's happening? And I was like, well, I just explained X, Y, Z. And he goes, okay, well, thankfully he's a manufacturer for a large nutritional. He manufactured for hundreds of companies, and a few of those companies ended up being a network marketing company in this industry that we were all in. And so he had some contacts of people who were also in the industry. One being a lawyer that happened to work with the company that we worked with. So he's like, let me make a phone call and to see what's going down. And then, like, 2 hours later, Jason and I are in the truck, and my dad's lawyer calls me, and I was like, I haven't even talked to him in years. I grew up around him. And he calls me and he goes, Lacey, run. And I'm like, what? And he's like, do whatever you have to do. Run, get all the people you love, get them. It's just not. I can't explain it, but just run. I'm just calling you because he was almost like an uncle to me. He's like, I'm just calling you and telling you to move. I'm like, okay, I trust that. And so that it was literally like 2 days later that we came to your house with you guys, and
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know why. I don't have all the answers, but very trustworthy people to me who are around this entire industry who have no financial reason to ever tell us this way or that way just told me, and I just want to let you guys know what we know. And I think coming from that, I had a phone call with one of my friends, Alex Martinez, and I honestly haven't talked to him in so long. But him and his wife they're just great people. They actually just adopted 4 kids. They were foster
Mm.
parents, and then foster parents of one found out they had siblings, and now went from 0 to 4 kids in like a handful
Dang.
of years. Yeah, like just really good people. I don't know if I wouldn't do that. Not I'm not the person that would do that. But him and his wife are significantly better people. But I was talking to him on the phone because he was in a very similar situation than we are. He was in a different organization, but within the same company, and all this is going down. And I'm like, Alex, what are you doing? Like, how are you handling this? You're so happy. You're so optimistic. Like, what's your read on this? And he's like, just be honest. He's like, it's gonna bite him. Like, if you try to manipulate the situation, it's going to either make you look ignorant or untrustworthy.
Mm.
Be honest. It's either you didn't
It's
see it
true.
coming, so, or it's going to make you look like you saw it coming and you told no one. So if you just lay everything out on the table, full transparency, you're probably going to lose your paycheck. Everything's going to go away. It's a terrible situation, but from where it looks like it's going, that's probably going to happen anyway now. So you might as well get ahead of it and try to do the right thing. And I remember just getting off that phone call. I will never forget that phone call, and I don't know why. It just was a very big moment for me as a leader, you could say, at such a young age, because I so badly did not want to call these people. But just
Yeah.
going from that moment and doing and hearing and seeing, it taught me to not believe everything that everyone said. It also taught me that if someone was able to accomplish something once in a very big way over here, it doesn't mean that they will do it again there. And what I mean by that is that there were some leaders, some people that I looked up to, and that I thought that I wanted what they had. And then once things fell, once the whole house of cards came crashing down, and I saw not necessarily how they handled the situation, but more how they handled it with their families. Like how as soon as things got hard, what did they do? And I got to see that firsthand, and it really kind of just shifted the way that I look up to people. Because yes, they may have the financial success that I want, but what is their relationship with their wife? What is the relationship with their kids? I mean, how often are they on their phone in front of their children? Like what are they what example are they setting? They may look great financially, it may look great in the entrepreneur sense, but how many divorces have they had? Like
Mm.
to me that means a lot. It doesn't
Yeah.
I'm not shaming them. I'm not saying that that is bad or wrong. I mean, yeah, I don't want that. And so if I have to follow in their footsteps that they got in business, and it is going to cause to put a burden on me and Jason's relationship, I'm going to find a different way, and I'm
Right.
not going to look up to them in that sense. So I mean, I learned a lot from that situation.
Mm.
I didn't also want to be the person that, you know, pulled the fire alarm and there wasn't a fire. The people who told me I trusted, I was willing to walk away based on that trust, but I don't want to lead someone into the wrong direction
Mhm.
and cause them to lose everything they've worked for and then be wrong.
Yeah.
If I lose everything I've worked for and I'm wrong, I can live with that, but I
Yeah.
can't do that to someone else. So it was tough for me. Like Jason and I were like, what do we say to people? Like it was not easy, and we felt really weird doing it.
Yeah.
But we
Well,
learned from it. We all learned. Like look at us now. We've all learned from that.
yeah, we've
Like
all learned,
we've
we've
all
all moved on. Yeah. And you know what's really okay, so I I got to be careful how I say this too. I'm really good at the same thing that you
oh
are,
I
which is
know.
offending everybody. But the ones who the leaders and the movers and shakers in that company, you can tell who had to move on to something very similar because that's all they were good at, And then you also saw other people that was a great start for them, or that was a great way to get their feet wet. And then they were able to take those contacts, they were able to take those experiences, grow it into another industry, and then go dominate that. And then maybe even hang it up there and go dominate another industry. In the last 4 years, I mean, I've watched a couple leaders go from, one company to the next, but then create their own brand, if you may, and and their success is so much greater. But not only is it greater financially, but they're solving problems. They're bringing a value to the marketplace that's above and beyond just being a business person, which is making money in a system that has been proven over and over, right? Because
Right.
anybody can hop into a system, anybody can own a McDonald's. It's just, do you have the $1 million to start a McDonald's, right? It's a proven system. So in that aspect, you're a business person. In the aspect of going, hey, I see how I'm raising my children. I go to a conference and I'm inspired to help other moms raise their children the way that I'm doing it because I see a need in the marketplace. That's an entrepreneur, right? And that's what we saw people when we broke apart. We saw a lot of people take two different paths.
Mm-hmm. And I think when it comes to the failure of business, there's two really scary things. And this is, my dad and I, when I lived in Florida, I mean, we were religiously going to Starbucks at 5 in the morning, and we would just like come up with ideas. Growing up, we had this marketing game, and I'm like so excited to do this with Ashtyn and with my other kids. But
Yeah.
Ashtyn's getting close to the age of being able to do this, where my dad and I, we would just find an object. Like we were at the first time we started doing this, we were at Bagel Time. It's this bagel shop in New York that we all went to like that. And there was a Snapple on the ground, and he's like, okay, that Snapple top, how would you market that to a man? Like what could that be if you to a 30-year-old man? And I was like fourth grade, like 9, I don't know. So I'm like, I don't even know what that means, but I just made something up. And he's like, okay, and I got to pick something, and like this is what that product does. I guess it turned into like this. What could this be for a 45-year-old woman? And like
Mm-hmm.
marketing your audience, and those were the games that my dad and I could play together. And like as a kid, I like thought they were silly, but it was just like like the I Spy game in the car. That's what
Yeah.
we played instead of I Spy. We would do marketing tactics like what's the best way to reach the most people on a Saturday when the football game's on. We'd be like, it's just like silly things like that. And but I remember specifically sitting down with my dad at 5 in the morning and coffee. We would just throw these fun ideas and we create companies, but we never like there's blueprints at that point unless they actually became something, and then we would try. But he had told me, he's like, you have to be very careful of two things, because I remember telling him that I saw an ad for something that would teach me how to make 7 figures in like 6 months. And he's like, okay, it's possible, but let's like look at it with glasses on, with these clarity glasses on. Like, let's see, what does that person get? What benefit do they have from telling you that you can do that?
Right.
But there's always a motive, and you have to read people's motives. That may be cynical, but at the same time, it's reality. If they have a motive behind something, then it's okay for people to have motives as long as you benefit from it also. That's the point. It should be an equal partnership when you work with people like this. But the thing to look out for is wishful thinking and fear. Because when you have wishful thinking, you're going to look past red flags because you don't want those red flags to be true. So you are not going to think clear. And I think that's what happened with us. Is there was a whole lot of wishful thinking and fear that it was true, and what would we do if it were true? So instead of addressing the fact that it was happening, it was a lot of, I just hope it doesn't, so I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. Or if the fear of starting over, like years and years, and like I did ridiculous things. Like I did a meeting at 2 in the morning at a strip club. I'm not a strip club person. That was
No.
like looking back, I'm like, why did I do that? But honestly, it actually turned into a very successful organization, full brand. Like the things that I did to build that business, and that I was like, I just had in my head to do whatever it takes mentality. For that to all of a sudden be told all the things that you did to do whatever it takes no longer matter.
Mm.
I had wishful thinking. I was like, maybe you're wrong. Maybe that red flag is actually like not red. Maybe it's like yellow. Maybe it's not that bad. Maybe it's being over dramatized. I don't even know if that's the word. Over what's the word I'm looking for? Like into a bigger deal than it actually is. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
people are getting excited off the
Yeah.
drama of a
Yeah.
company going through issues,
Maybe
and they're
embellishing a
making
little bit. Yeah.
that. Yes. So that's what I kept telling myself. Like maybe they're wrong. Maybe these lawyers are wrong. Maybe like we are really good friends with Larry Thompson and Taylor Thompson, who are just like these huge rhinos in this industry of just people who have built the foundation of that entire industry,
Mm-hmm.
who was like the direct downline to Jim Rohn. I mean, they have a wealth of knowledge, and they've created this entire company called the Wealth Builders. And we were talking to them about it, and they were giving us reassurance that things were going wrong, and that we need to kind of look up and make a choice of where we were going. And
Absolutely.
wishful thinking will cause us to ignore that. And in business, you can't be a wishful thinker. Like you have to be. Yes, you can. You can say this is where my business could be a multi-million-dollar empire. I'm wishful thinking of that, but wishful thinking isn't going to make it happen. And that may not be the reality if you don't do X, Y, and Z. And then you also have to consider, is that a priority of mine? Is that even what you want? Because X, Y, and Z to get there may be missing soccer games. I'm not willing to do that. Like we grew up in that industry learning that work hard now, build your season. This is your building season now, so later you don't have to. No, that's not okay with me as a mother now. Like I was 22 when I heard that, and I was like, oh, for sure, I'll sacrifice all my time here, and then later on I'll be, sipping my ties on the beach. And look at us now. It was a wishful thinking promise that made me sacrifice everything that I had in that moment. I even stopped playing soccer for like 4 years during that. Something I thoroughly enjoy doing because I was told, "How are you going to go play soccer when you could have had that one meeting that could have changed your life?" And looking back, I'm able to now. I feel like kind of pick through that like pump up motivation BS and be like, soccer means a lot to me. My kids' soccer games mean a lot to me. I'm never going to miss an event of theirs for my business, and that's because they're a priority more than my business.
Yeah.
And I know as an entrepreneur, sometimes that's like not
Yeah.
accepted, and
It's a
it's
tug of
really
war
not.
all the time, but
It is.
in your mind, in your heart, you're always playing this tug of war game. And, but the cool thing is you got to slow down for a second and realize my kids, this is why I'm doing it. And then it brings you back to home base, right? But there are times where it's like, if I could just, and you're trying to finagle it. And then we were guilty of trying to bite off more than we can chew, right? I've told that all the
Right.
time.
I'm told by my friends and some of my family to slow down and enjoy the
Hmm.
moment.
Yeah.
And yes, but I think sometimes it's also that's a phrase that's misused
Hmm.
because it's also people who are just lazy and like
Yeah.
don't want to do the work say it to like
Yeah.
justify why they're not working.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm gonna binge watch Netflix for 6 hours because I'm just gonna slow down. And it's like, what? That's not slowing down and enjoying life. That is sitting on the couch and watching TV. Why don't you
Hmm.
read a book? Like that's a way to slow down. Why don't you, I don't know, go for a walk? Why don't you play a game with your kid? Why don't you put your phone down? That's a way to
Hmm.
slow down.
Yeah.
But instead, they say, I'm going to binge watch and eat whatever I want because, I worked hard and I deserve it. They're like, yep,
Mm.
okay, that's where the grace and the truth come in. Grace, if that's what you've done, that's okay. Truth, if that's how you're going to continue living your life, you're not going to reach your goals. You're not going to feel fulfilled. You're just sitting there wasting time.
Yeah. Mm. So now fulfillment. I want to ask you. You've built some companies that were sold. And what is that feeling like to take a baby, create it, and then have it desirable for the actual marketplace for somebody to come in and want to buy your idea?
Yeah, that is really, it's like bittersweet because
Mm.
you're you just worked so hard on it. But it's also like, what kind of mindset would you have if you were sad about that? Like, if you think about that, like, that's the ultimate goal, right? Like, maybe not for some people, but if you are this serial entrepreneur, you don't have this mindset of like, I've just lost this. You have this mindset of like, now I get to create again. Like, this abundant mindset of, now I get to start something again. Like, you're not, it wasn't hard, it wasn't a toll on your body to, in your emotional state, in your mental state, to work on that first company because it's something you were passionate about. And as a serial entrepreneur, that passion just keeps rolling. Like, it never ends. It
Right.
really, like, when someone starts one company and it fails, and that is the horse that they ride on of, oh, it failed, and they might even, it might be a really good reason that it failed. They're going to say it was because the economy dropped, it was because this happened and this happened, and these could all be excuses that are like factual. Like, it legitimately was the reason that that business failed. But if that is the horse that you ride on for the rest of your life as to why you don't try something new again,
Mm,
you were
preach.
never an entrepreneur in the first place. Like,
Preach.
that wasn't your, that wasn't what you were supposed to do. That wasn't your passion in life. That was something you tried and failed and just weren't willing to try again, and that's okay. But that's not you then. Like, that's, you're not that person that can fight through these moments of ups and downs.
Hmm.
Uh, it's just like a, coming out of back again of what we came through. That was a hard blow to all of us, and it
Yes.
knocked the wind out of our sails. But it's kind of like, what are you going to do with that? And what is that going to be your story for the rest of your life? Back in 2017, I got I was owed money, and then I was screwed and everything fell apart, and I'll never do that again. I was like, okay, where are you now then? Like, what benefit do you have to have that story be the story of the reason why you didn't become the person you were meant to
Right.
become?
Hmm.
Or you can just say, who cares what anyone else thinks? Let me move on.
Right.
And if that fails, cool, let's move on. Like, uh, I've had multiple failures that were like, that I was very passionate about, and then they just like went down. And the biggest thing with that is take self responsibility of that.
Hmm.
The reason that failed, even if it was someone else's fault, you were the person that put that person in place to make it fail. You chose that person went there. So by it failing because of them, in actuality, why didn't you look at what they were doing? Why didn't you help them? Why didn't you do, like, why did you put that person in a place of responsibility that could cause your company to fail without you knowing
Right.
and without you having a part of it? So take responsibility for that. But then also be like, who cares? Move on.
Right.
It my the horse that I ride my life on is not going to be a failure, because there's plenty of those. Like, I
Right.
have, but they don't bother me. Like, I don't know why. I don't know why they don't bother me. They don't make me feel bad.
Right.
Like, they're silly. Like, I kind of look back and be like, well, that sucks, but okay,
Right.
it's just life. It
Something that
happened. Let's figure it out.
something that I kind of battled with whenever I have failure is I want to win so bad. I have that competitive nature, and I definitely have that win at all cost mindset. The issue is then when you do fall, there's a pride issue of, you almost go like, when I've had businesses fail or ideas fail, I kind of go into hiding and I pull back, and that's like one of the worst things you can do, because
Oh, for
then
sure.
then now you feel sorry for yourself. And then the other thing I had to stop doing, and I don't know if you do this, but when I was a kid, I won a lot of trophies playing hockey, and I was real big into sports as well, and playing at very high levels, just like yourself. I actually had to take all of those trophies and even past businesses and awards and things. I actually had to go pack all that stuff away. I had to pack it away, and I don't have it displayed. I know there's a lot of people that are okay with displaying, their placards and the things that they've achieved in their life. The reason why I don't is because that's not who I am anymore. That's like a reflection of who I was. And even though that's a great stepping stone to where I am today, I can't dwell on 5 years ago making $100,000 in a business, and being named the best business in my community, and being the youngest board member on an association. And the reason why I don't hold those titles anymore, because that's not who I am. And I'll
Mhm.
get stuck in my past. And so that's something mentally I had to do. There are other people that don't get stuck like that, but I have one of those personalities that I will definitely get stuck in my award show. You know what I mean? Um,
Well, and like it's a lot of it too is if you have to tell people that you're great, if you have to tell them how great you are, you're not that great.
Oh,
Like
well,
if you have to be the person, if those trophies have to remind you of your wins, then you're not a chronic winner. Like you
that
don't do it
hits.
all the time because you're sitting there like holding on to these trophies behind you.
Yeah.
And it's like the only reason you would hold on to those is because you're afraid there's not another one in the future. Like you have to move on. Like there's been both of us. We've had great successes in our life. We've won
Hmm.
multiple titles and had all these things. Who
Yeah.
cares? Like what are we doing now? Like and what are we going to do in the future? And if I have to walk into a room and tell people all the things I've accomplished in my life, instead, why don't they get to know me, be friends with me, and then see the type of person who can accomplish those things, not necessarily that I'm actually that person.
Wow.
Like it was so funny. I was at like some friend's kid's soccer game, and his wife trying to like explain to me the rules of soccer, and I'm like, I just so bad want to tell you, like, how much I've played in my whole life. You know, and I was thinking, this is the conversation I had in my head, like, why does she need to know? Like, why do I feel the need to tell her? What what am I lacking? Just why can't I just sit here and listen to her explain soccer to me?
Right.
Like, it brings her joy, obviously. Why do I have to? What type of person am I to have to be like, oh well, I play professional soccer, like I know more than you do? Or I could just sit there and just keep my mouth shut, be friends with her, and eventually she'll find out, and that's cool too. But or I could like, why do we feel the need to constantly put ourselves on a pedestal in order to feel accomplished? Or we can just go out and accomplish more things and
Right.
let it speak for itself.
I think it's because of the way that society raises us as young kids, and the way that we have to achieve for a scorecard, basically. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's why we want the awards. We're told the awards are good, but we're not told that the work ethic to get the award is actually what you're striving for, right? And
Right.
and we need to give more emphasis on it, and that's why I've liked a lot of your ideas. And that's the same thing with being a parent and a business owner. I actually, a couple shows ago, I shared my favorite quote, which is from KB, and it's from his song Kamikaze, and it's like, success is not a number; it's faithful labor, and that hits me hard every time I'm working on something. Because you're right, the trophies don't matter. I coached a high school hockey team to a state championship. The only reason why I'm telling you right now is to give context, right? And
Yeah.
and I played hockey at a very high level. And when I with the parents were like, "Can this young guy get our team to a championship?" I didn't tell him how great I was. What I did was I went out as a coach and I just skated. That's all I did. I just skated. The first time they saw me on ice, they're like, "Oh, this guy knows what he's doing." Right? Same thing as a coach. The first time you handle that ball on the grass or on the field, they're gonna go, "Oh, she knows what she's doing." And that's that. It's we've got to become a society of showing people rather than telling people, right?
Mhm.
And I love that you brought that up, because I feel the same way, and I battle with it all the time. Here's my trophies, and I still tell people sometimes, and that's why it hit me so hard. And it was a great reminder of what you said today, where, yeah, you're right. I don't need to tell people this, because you're kind of going through a similar experience that I am. You moved to Colorado, so you're originally from New York, and then down in Florida, and now you're in a new arena, right? And so you don't have the credibility in Colorado that
Right.
you used to have back home. And we moved from Colorado to Florida, and now I'm meeting people at church, and we had a hurricane, and my background is in construction, and nobody trusts me with construction because they don't know my background. They have no idea that I built, these big homes and all this stuff. They have no idea. And they're like, "Can you even hold a hammer?" I'm like, this is really tough, but it's a humbling experience to realize that at the end of the day, I got my own problems, they have their own problems, and they really don't care where I've been. They just want to know how I can bring value to the situation current.
Yeah, and that what you just said of like, can you even hold a hammer? And it's like it's topical for us now, but it's like also we have to think why what is missing within us to feel the need to overcompensate and go over all of our like yes I can hold a hammer. I owned a construction company. what is missing within us? What are we not pursuing that makes us feel that we have to fill that void with overcompensation of who we are and like
Mm-hmm.
expressing our awards in that way.
Yeah.
And that I feel like also you had said something. What did you say that just like reminded me? God, you it was a K. What was your KB
Yeah,
quote?
KB quote, success is not a number, it's faithful labor.
Yes. Okay. So I don't know why that triggered this. It literally has nothing to do with that
That's
quote, but
fine.
it brought it back in my head again. But when I realized I was talking to my mom about this because my whole family has always said like Lacey steps in poop comes out smelling like roses, and I am probably the luckiest person in the world, but it's because I'm so confident in myself. Like I know, and this is gonna sound crazy. I know for a fact that if I from right now at this point in my life said, you know what, I'm gonna become a doctor. I have zero credits lined up for it. I never went to school for biology or any of that nonsense. I could figure out a way to become a doctor. I would figure out a way through med school. I know the type of person I am, and I know that I could accomplish that. So there's anything that I could say to myself that I could do, and I don't know why, but it's just how I am. And so when bad things happen, somehow maybe it's just because I'm so optimistic of good things always happen to me, and they do, that it will turn good, and it always does. And it's what it stems down to is that winning, like for me, when I win at something, it is like not this euphoria that you think it would be. It's not like this this great feeling of I did it. It's like a sense of relief. That's how bad I need to win. It's like I'm relieved when I win. I'm not happy when I win. Like I'm like, okay, I did it. Like I'm not. It's not this like high that I'm chasing. It's this I just needed it so badly that if I don't get it, I will get it. Like
Yeah.
there is no I don't get it.
Keeping
So
starting this website for this company, and you just went through this, right? It's like
yes,
it like the idea was in my head. I jotted it all down, and I worked for like a week solid, around the clock, missing sleep, everything. And it was like when I hit the publish button on my website, it was like, oh, like, and
mhm,
it was like I needed that release, because if not, it was just pent up energy. And you just went through that whole
right.
entire process. I hate to cut off where we were going, but I felt like like that's exactly what you just did. So explain like what that process looks like.
Yeah. So looking back on all the things that myself, Jason, my family, and we've done a lot of businesses with my family. A lot of them have failed. You know, that just is what it is. But looking back, like they all funnel into each other in such the perfect way that I'm like, we had to go through all of this to get to here. Like starting with like we had to because I wouldn't know how to do what I'm doing for this company now had I not had to learn all of in bits and pieces from the other companies before. Like I had to learn how to do graphic design. I'm not like an artist. Like I don't paint for fun. I don't draw for fun. I don't do like I'm not the type of person that is like artistic in any way, but I had to learn how to do that because we didn't have the funds for a graphic artist in one of our companies. And I'm like, okay, well, we can't move forward unless we find a graphic artist. So I'm just gonna become one. And I stayed up multiple nights, like I just don't sleep, and learned how to do that. And then all of a sudden, I moved on to the next company, and the skill that I learned at that company that failed miserably was able to help me with this company. We actually ended up selling that company, and then that skill that I learned there of now I don't have to hire outsource other people because I've developed these skills that can help me start this. So with what I'm starting now, I'm starting a t-shirt company. So and it's not even necessarily a t-shirt company. It's called Cool Mom Customs. And the idea behind it, and the reason that I even loved the idea behind it is because I love being a mom, and I'm an intense mom, you know, as you know.
Hey, guys, for
So
context, Ashtyn is doing drill. She's been doing drill since she was like 3, and she is
18 months.
okay. Yeah, I mean, I've watched her. Her foot, her plyometrics, and guys, she's an amazing soccer player, and she beats all the boys. So there you go. That's
She
the
does.
type of mom that Lacey is.
Right. And I have the friends who aren't that type of mom who are like,
Right.
just let her relax. And I'm like, I do. She has fun. But I also want her to know that I expect a lot from her because I know she's capable of a lot, the same way
Mm.
that my mom did with me. She's capable of so much. Ashtyn can accomplish more than most adults as a 5-year-old. And I don't put the pressure on her to do it if she doesn't want to, but that kid wants to. Like, she goes outside and does sprints for fun. I may have taught her how to properly sprint, but she enjoys it. Like, she enjoys competition. She enjoys that. And being that intense mom, I mean, I know it looks bad sometimes. Like, it looks like I'm like making her do sit-ups before she has dinner. But she like says like I'll do 100 sit-ups before dinner, and I'll be like, okay.
Oh my God.
It looks like I'm not forced. Like,
Oh
she
my
genuinely.
gosh, yeah.
I mean,
I
my
love
parents
it.
were hard on me also. Like, when I lost at a game,
Wow.
there was no, oh, well, at least you had fun. It was like, yeah, you lost because you didn't play as well. It was reality checks left and right from my mom. Like, my mom grew up in New York, is like a tough, tough New Yorker. I've never seen the woman cry, like literally ever in my life, and she's just been through a lot of hard things that made her this type of person, which is like the backbone of our family. But my mom would like, we just never had, we were never be like, oh, it's okay, you'll get them next time. That's like not how we were raised. It was like, no, if you want to get them next time, why don't you get in the backyard? Here, I'll drive you to the soccer fields. Why don't we work on some things?
Mm.
I noticed they beat you at this. Why don't
Right.
we work on
Let's
this?
work on it. Yep.
Right. So she was a very solution finder, problem solver type person also. But going into my business that I have now with the intensity and the passion that I have to being a mom, because as a parent, like, I always thought motherhood would be fun. I'm like, yeah, I'll have kids and they're gonna be great. Like, coming down to it, the anxiety and stress that you have as a parent, knowing that you are you and your spouse are the single people that are forming these humans, and they could either make their lives great or you're gonna give them some like serious daddy issues or mommy issues. Like, you could ruin someone's life without even meaning to. Like, that's what parenting I feel has come down to. Is like, if you yell at them when they do something wrong, you've just emotionally traumatized that kid. I'm like, I've been yelled at my whole life, and that never bothered me. But it's like, it, I also want my kids to learn how to get yelled at. Like, learn how to handle someone screaming at you. Like, my coaches growing up, like, one of my coaches was an ex-Marine. The way that he would get in your face and scream at you, it's like you had to learn how to handle it and like not break down and be tough and be strong. That's not taught anymore. Like, instead, it's like, instead of teaching the person to be able to handle that, what's taught now is don't be the person that does that to someone. And I get that. Like, no one likes to be yelled at, but if someone yells at me, I can keep my head high, I can look them in the eye, and I don't cower to it. And I don't want my kids to do that either. So as a parent, I'm going to help guide them that. And the intensity that I have in motherhood is also, I want my kids to know that what their world is also going to be my world. So right now, soccer is Ashtyn's world, and it is everything. It means the most to her, and I will make sure that I give it her soccer career the same amount of effort that she wants herself to give it. If that's her world, I'm going to make it my world too. And so I was thinking, I was like, in Cool Mom Customs, I can create apparel for parents who want to make their kids' world their world. So, and then also like just cool mom shirts. Like,
Yeah.
this is one of my cool mom shirts. This
That's
is like fun
awesome.
stuff.
And I love it because they're fun. Like what was the one that you posted up today on social media? I loved it.
I have a Valentines collection. It has like about 20 shirts in it, but one of them I had on today, and I actually wore it to the gym and got a lot of comments on
That's
it too.
awesome.
But it's just a little poem. It says, "Roses are red, true love is rare, booty, 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 rocking everywhere." Like, I want to wear that,
Oh man.
right?
Have fun, right? And what
The
a fun
idea of,
way.
right. I want to have fun with it. I want adults to remember that, we used to have fun. Like, we used to not be so worried about what other people thought about us. Like, let's wear fun things. Let's be fun people. And for me, fun is actively pursuing something I'm passionate about. And that's what I want to teach my kids. They're fun too, but also we can look cool and wear fun shirts for it. But with Cool Mom Customs, if I can create apparel and accessories that parents can get for their kids, like, even I almost held up my phone. I don't have it on, but I have cell phone cases too coming soon, of just like ways that we can show our kids that their world is our world, that they mean a lot to us. And so if I show up to one of Ashtyn's soccer games and I have a soccer shirt with her name on it and her number on it and show her that I genuinely care and I'm passionate about what she is putting all of her effort towards, it's going to build her confidence. And if sports have done anything in my life, it's built my confidence. It showed me that I can be good at something and I can work hard and work for something as a kid. And I can transfer that into my adulthood now. So if I can show Ashtyn, listen, I support you. I am your number one fan. If you suck at a game, I'm going to let you know. But when you're good, I'm going to let you know too. And that's when it means the most. Like if I played bad in a game, my mom would never tell me I played well. She would never tell me I was terrible, but she'd never tell me. I would never get hey, you had a good game, because I know I didn't, and she knew that I know that I didn't. And if she told me I had a good game, the times that she tells me that I do have a good game wouldn't mean as much. And so I want to help parents with Cool Mom Customs be their kids' number one supporter. I want to help them find ways to show their kids that it's not just them bringing them to soccer practice or bringing them to a game and watching and then moving on to my business call I have that night. Like I remember specifically, my dad was a great entrepreneur. He also was a great soccer player, and he taught me a lot of that I know with soccer. But then there was times where he would come to a game and I would score a goal and look, and his back was to me. He was on a phone call because he was so hard working his business. And I remember my heart would sink when I would see that, and I just told myself I will never ever be that parent to my kid. If I'm at a game, I am watching, I will, almost to a point, I will write down your stats, like who beat you, what number, what move they beat you with. So when we get home, we can work on that move, and I can show you how to not get beat by that move. And that's how intense I want to be as a supporter of my child. And I know there's other parents who want to support their kids in that way, but don't know how. And that's where Raise to Rise also came from. Of here's how to get more involved with your kids. But Cool Mom Customs was meant to be an apparel company, an accessory company to help moms to show their kids that they care. And there's also obviously other things in there just for fun things for moms to wear. And I have a whole cool hubby section, cool husband, cool dad type thing. And this is where the idea of what you're passionate about, it may not bring in a ton of money. I mean, who knows? I might have a secret empire one day. I don't even know if that's the goal. What the goal is right now is just to provide awesome things to as many people as I can, whoever wants them. And then whatever develops from there, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm here for the ride, and who knows what it'll turn into.
No, I think it'll go far. When I saw that shirt today, I was like, I definitely want to get that for Janelle, and because that's just it. And at the end of the day, I'm at a point in my life where I'm kind of tired of supporting corporate America. I want to buy shirts like that. I want to buy from my friends that have cool ideas. One of the things that I've been known to talk about recently is, especially with starting this podcast, is getting people back to owning something or having a trade or a skill that person is known for, because in corporate America, we are all taught to move as this big blob or as this big team. There's nothing wrong with team, right? But I feel like we should break it down into smaller teams, not these teams of 10,000, 20,000 employees where you're just a cog in the wheel or a statistic in that business. Where back at the turn of the century, before the 1900s, I remember reading statistics about how many families owned a farm and owned their own businesses, and the amount of wealth that was created through that time is what made America great. That's what made America great, was because people had their own resources. They didn't rely on a big business like Amazon. I'm not knocking Amazon. It's a great idea. Jeff Bezos, great job, right? But what I'm saying is it's gotten to the point where we have people that are they're getting in hard times, and instead of thinking from themselves, they're like, well, I might as well just go work for Amazon because they can give me a decent paycheck. Well, wait a second. What about that cool idea you had? And what about that one time you told me, I wish I could be the person who thought of that? Well, you can be, right? And so that's why entrepreneur theory was created, was to support people just like you, where it's like, I got a cool idea. Let's put it out there and see if it sticks. And I want to be a part of that, and I want to support that. But here's the other thing. Traveling across the United States in our RV over the last 2 years, I met thousands of people that want to do the same thing. And that, like, I know I don't have statistics and I know I don't have hard data, but I can tell you after talking to so many people from so many different walks of life, they want to break away from that corporate. They want to start supporting their friends. And I think we're in a new revolution of, like, the gig economy, the part-time, side hustle. I think you're going to start seeing more and more of that. So I warn people, buckle up, because your friend is going to be trying to sell something here soon, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And like, I think the gig economy, it's not even just coming here by choice. It's not because we're all against corporate America. It's by necessity. Like, you have to,
Mm-hmm.
what you have to have another option. Paychecks just like aren't doing it for people anymore. These like 9 to 5 paychecks, it's not paying the bills. It's not giving you a good quality life. And I don't necessarily know if corporate America is bad. And the reason
No.
I say that is because there's people who I wouldn't wish entrepreneurship on anyone.
Okay, I will agree with that statement.
There's just people
Yeah.
like it's hard, man. Like it's emotionally
Mm.
taxing, and you just have to have this weird ability to let things go and act like they didn't happen when they literally like killed everything you've put all your effort into for like a long. Like you have to have this ability to turn off your emotion to things. And turn on emotion to things at the same time. Like you're emotionally passionate about it, and that's what drives it to success. But you also feel like emotionally disconnected from the bad things that are happening that could completely make you fall apart. And not everyone can do that. And like I feel like not that corporate America is for like being an entrepreneur doesn't make you better or worse than someone. It just makes you a certain type of person. An intense person, you could say, a person who maybe doesn't have a ton of friends, or they do. They do. They just don't have a lot of friends in the they have quality friends, not quantity, you could say.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's more of what an entrepreneur has because it's you need those quality people to
Well, because you're going to
go.
pitch a weird idea to them someday, and you need them to go, okay, that might be a little weird, but I mean, it's doable. Let's see where it goes. Or, you know what, that may not be my
Right,
cup of tea, but I'll applaud you, and whatever support you need. If you need somebody to help you or marketing, I'll help you. That's what's nice
right,
about those friends. Absolutely.
right. It's like if you are starting a new idea, you're gonna get the friends that are like, heck yeah, this is awesome. Let me know when it's ready and I'll go check it out. Or then if the friends be like, you're starting another one? Like, didn't weren't you just working on another idea like 2 years ago? Whatever happened to that one? Didn't that one fail? Then it's like, okay, I'm gonna go talk to the friend who wants me to tell them when the website's up and running so they can take a look at it and tell me how it is, versus the person who is like reminding me of the things that didn't work. Because yes, I don't need to be reminded.
Hmm.
I know that they didn't work. But as a friend, are you telling me that to help me? Or are you telling me that to hurt me?
Right.
And if it's to help me, to learn from my mistakes from that, then you're still going to be supportive moving forward. But if you're telling me that to hurt me and to maybe make me question why I'm so passionate about this new idea, then maybe we shouldn't be friends. And that's typically what ends up happening to people. So it's also the idea of telling the right idea to the wrong person. Of that person just got laid off. You knows what's going on in their life. If they're saying something negative to you, it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with you. It
I
could be just
agree.
where you caught them in that moment, and they just happen to unleash
Mm.
on you. And you're like, well, that's
Oh,
I'm sorry that you
such
feel that
wisdom.
way, but
I mean,
where
like
do
I
I
said,
come with all this wisdom,
I
man?
know. Well, I really no, but here's the thing. You're saying a lot of stuff today that isn't talked about. There's a lot of how tos in business, right? Let me tell you 5 step, or 5 steps to grow your business, or 5 steps to market, or help click the create this funnel or whatever. But what you're telling a lot of people right now is like, look, there's gonna be some bumps in the road, so prepare for them. And I think what you're sharing with people will give them a proper expectation of what it really takes to get an idea off the ground, and the emotional fortitude you have to move forward. And that's not an easy thing. There's been a lot of breakdown moments in my life that I know I'm flashing back right now. But at the same time, if I didn't have those breakdown moments, I wouldn't have really looked at who I am and what I'm trying to achieve and the reason why I'm doing those things. And then what you're talking about earlier was fulfillment, right? And we do it for fulfillment more than we do for the money. The money is just a byproduct. The fulfillment is what we do it for. Like right now, this is a brand new podcast. Like it's not a big money maker right now, but it will be. But I'm not doing it for the money. I'm doing it because your story matters, because your idea is awesome. Cool Moms Customs is a really cool idea, and when I saw your initial post about it, I really enjoyed it, and I was grateful that I had an opportunity to come up to where we could actually link up and talk about it, because the way you did it was very authentic, and the way that you did it was a truth, and I admire that. And so real quick, what's one message you want to leave everybody with before you kind of give your shameless plug and tell people where they can go and get your amazing shirts?
Yeah. So, if I had to think of something like in this, I've always had these quotes in my mind, these like staples that I lived by, and a lot of it was very like extreme in the sense of do it at all costs, like do whatever it takes, don't sleep, sacrifice everything for this one goal. And that is what I feel like when you read a lot of these like business books. A lot of it is just it's just these like hoorah, get yourself excited, and then go work your butt off. And I think becoming a mom and kind of growing in my age of 30 years, um, I've learned that that is not what it's about. Like if if that is what it was all about, once you got to the end, then what?
Mm.
Like if you had to sacrifice everything, waste everything, like not spend time with your family, not do these things that you enjoy for life just to get to this end goal. Once you reach it, what were you going to do then? And why would you be happy then? Like, why was that the pinnacle of happiness? And so that was, as soon as I had kids, that's what like redirected the way that I thought of my reason why isn't just work, 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 don't sleep, shut everyone out, put everything you've got into this. That's not healthy, and that's not what it's supposed to be like. It's supposed to be a journey that you enjoy, and it's supposed to be something that once you reach that end goal, whatever that end goal is, and you may not even know what the end goal is yet, you're just reaching. Once you hit that, make sure you created a life along the way that you can be happy with, that you didn't just leave everyone behind. As a mom, like I can't work like I did before kids. I can't do that. So I just stay up all night. But I can't be on my computer all day in
Yeah.
front of my children. Like
Yeah.
I want to encourage moms especially, because I feel like we have it in our head that our kids need to have 100% of our attention all the time, that we need to entertain them all the time. We don't need to entertain our children. Our children need to entertain themselves. They need to learn how to do that. We aren't like a cruise line. Like we're not trying to schedule activities for our kids to keep them entertained all the time. The magic of childhood happens when you let them be bored and let them figure out something, and then all of a sudden they learn that they're good at imaginary cats. I don't know, something that Ashtyn does right now. She pretends to be a cat,
Oh.
but like she would have heard that she's good at making books. The other day she was bored, put two pieces of paper together, stapled them, and then she made a book. If I would have let her, I don't know, if I would have tried to entertain her, she would have missed that opportunity to make herself a book. And that's so as an entrepreneur, as a mom entrepreneur, let your kids be bored.
Mm.
There's no shame in letting them see you work hard, because it just might inspire them. What you mistake as mom guilt is, oh my gosh, I'm not giving them enough attention. They've seen me on my computer all day long. Just reverse it. Maybe you're inspiring them. Just like Ashtyn, when she said, can I start a business too? It looks like you're doing something. Can I do it too? Involve them. She sells her bracelets on my site. If anything, if I'm going to give my shameless plug, it is for her. I want her to sell significantly more bracelets than I sell shirts, because it's just awesome. I have a little, every time a sale comes in, a ching sound goes off on my phone,
Yeah.
and it like lets me know. When Ashtyn hears that noise, she just assumes it's her sale, and it usually is. Like, she's actually sold more than I have, and I'm okay with that. Like, that's awesome. But I want her to be excited about that. I want her taking what it costs for the beads, the bracelet, out of her profit to explain to her how that works. And I want that to be the thing. So as a mom entrepreneur, let that happen. Don't think that you're in this alone. When you start a company and you have a family, your family starts a company, not you. Let them be involved. Let them do everything. I used to fold boxes for supplement products as like 5 years old for my dad. Every like tray I would fill these boxes, I would get $1. And I just like became like crazy at them. So involve your family, put them to work. And then also the one thing is, if it's not a priority, that's okay. We're going to go through seasons in our life. 2018 was a season of my life to win Fitness America. And I put everything I had into winning that. And then 2 years later, I wasn't shredded. I didn't have biceps for days, but I was okay with it because I knew what it took. And I knew that at that moment in my life, 2020, that was not a priority of mine. And I know I'm the type of person, as soon as it becomes a priority of mine, it will get accomplished. So give yourself grace, but then also find the truth in it of, is it a priority? And if it's not, that's okay. But once it becomes a priority, make it everything. Make it everything that you give it all you've got. And also don't have too many priorities, because then they're not actually priorities. Like my family, my business, like we all want to say our priority. It's a priority of ours to spend time with our kids, but then it's a priority of ours to grow this business and be shredded and do this and this and this. If you have this long list of priorities that sound good on paper, they're not actually priorities, because you're not giving them the attention that they need to become a priority. So set out your real priorities. And if something isn't on there, but society tells you it should be, I mean, like, society is telling us these crazy, like, I'm not even sure. I might.
I know
This whole idea of like everyone gets a trophy and we need to be inclusive all the time to everyone. Everyone should win. Everyone should get these good feelings. We should never put people down. Like, I can't stand that. Like, what my coaches telling me I was a terrible soccer player. Yeah, I'm sure it sucked for like a 13-year-old girl to hear that. But it also made me be like, well, I'm going to show you that I'm not a terrible soccer player. Like, let kids feel that. Let kids be able to handle the situations that don't feel good, because when it happens as an adult, you have to know how to handle it.
Right.
And so I'm going on a little tangent now. I can keep going on that one for days.
Yeah, let your haters be your motivators is like a kind of a quote right now. But how many people can actually handle the haters becoming motivators? Because there's heat in that kitchen, and when you get in that kitchen, it gets hot, and it's not fun, and it's a mess. But man, I know multiple times in my businesses where friends have said, I just don't know if that'll work. I'll be like, oh yeah, okay. And then guess what? We made it work. We're driving cars, we're traveling all over. We're doing great. And it's like, you could have came with me. I'm sorry you did it, but you could have came with me. Right?
On that, like, yes, it's great to have the win and rub it in their faces, but you also have to be the type of person to lose and be big enough of a person to not care. Like,
yeah,
because
it's gold
it's
right there.
Easy to be like, haters, but look at me now. But what if they don't have anything to look at yet? Like, what if you haven't done it yet? Like, what if you're like, oh, I had all these haters that said I was going to be, no, this wasn't going to work, that wasn't going to work, and then all of a sudden it doesn't work. Now what do? Now you have to build your character and become the type of person that doesn't need to be. You don't need to win in order to be happy with yourself.
Man, there's so many T-shirt slogans right now that I'm like, you got my
T-shirt business.
Oh my gosh, that didn't work. Go build your character.
Right, exactly. Like,
oh, I love it.
So easy to, at the end of the win, to look back and be like, haha, look at me now.
Yeah.
What if you don't win?
Or
how are you going to let that affect you? Because I haven't won. I mean, I've won a lot of things, but there's also times I haven't won a lot of things. And you have to be able to handle both.
And
I haven't always been able to handle that.
I think that's God's way of humbling us to understand that, like, look, we can't win all the time, because that character and that
Right.
growth has to come from failure and stress and replanning and that's what I love, is that you've embraced it. And I thank you for sharing that, because I don't think it's talked enough. I mean, there's some pretty famous motivational people out there that do talk about it, but there's only a handful. The rest of them, when you get on their podcast, you get in their content, it's the rags to riches stories, right? There's only a
Mhm.
handful. Like Gary Vee is like, if you want it, you're gonna have to work and suffer. I'm sorry, but that's how you do it. And that's why I get along with a guy like that, and that's why I'm inspired by him, is because he's truth, you know. And I love
Right.
your grace, add on to that as well. So I appreciate everything that you said today. And real quick, where can people find you? And how can we get a hold of your products? And are you doing any promos? How can we support you?
Yeah. So my website is coolmomcustoms.com, and I'm on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. I don't know how, but I'll figure that
Yeah.
out. TikTok, to me, Jason calls it flip flop. He's like, "Are you flip flopping over there?" I don't know. I just like can't get into TikTok. I just it just irks me. There's 30-year-old girls dancing on my feed. I'm like, I don't follow
Well,
you. Why
so
am I watching?
I know some friends that are influencers that have, 100,000 plus followers. You don't even get paid on TikTok. So the only reason why you'd really want to get on TikTok is just to drive to that. You won't get
Right.
paid. If you want to get paid, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook, especially Facebook
Mhm.
Reels. We need to get you on Facebook Reels for sure.
So yeah, I'll do that. As long as it makes sense, I'll learn it.
Yep.
But so coolmomcustoms.com. I have a few promos going on right now. I literally just opened the doors to it on
Yeah.
Tuesday. So that was the D-Day of just getting it out to the public. So there's a promo code if you subscribe with your email list in my email list. Just give me your email and you get 10% off the promo code. There's a promo code as a thank you for supporting my small business, and it's just cool thank you. That's a surprise discount, so you don't get to find out until you're in the shopping cart. And then there's a Valentine's Day for the Valentine's Day collection coupon code for Cool Valentines for 15% off all the Valentine's collections. But
Nice.
as I said before, my biggest win out of all of this is something that it wasn't even a thought when I started creating it, is the fact that my 5-year-old is selling products
It's so cool.
and is excited about that. I'm trying to not be overwhelming, but she wants me to be. I'm like, oh, let's take it slow. Like, why don't we take the day off? And she's like, no, I got 2 orders of bracelets. Like, I need to make them now and get them out the door.
Mm.
And I'm like, that's my kid. Like, that's mine. I know where you got that from. So that my biggest plug is if you don't want a shirt, I mean, they're great shirts. I'm a funny person. I feel like they're great designs. If you don't want a shirt, at least go get a 5-year-old's bracelet. And I don't know what you want to do. You can wear it. You can give it to someone. But I promise you that bracelet will be the most perfected bracelet. She puts a lot of effort and energy and time into her bracelets. It means a lot to her. Well packaged. She has a thank you note in there. And moving forward with this, I know that this will only grow for her. Like, I never started a business at 5 years old. And I even had someone message me, which is so strange. And I guess you could call this a hater. But it's like, why would you want your 5-year-old to have a job? Like, why does everyone feel the need to make their 5-year-old a CEO? And I'm like, where would you be right now if your parents taught you how to run a business at 5?
Ooh.
That's just what I wrote them. Because he's an accountant. I grew up with him. I mean, most of our haters, I guess you could say, are probably people we grew up with.
Yep.
You can't be a prophet in your own right.
Yep.
So, and he just never responded. And I was like, if you're gonna give me some shade, at least let's go back and forth about this. Like, I'm ready to fight. Like,
Guys,
fight me
this
if
is
you want to
awesome.
fight me. Like, he never responded. And I was like, well, man, I was prepared for this. I had my sleeves rolled up and everything. I was ready for your response so I could come back with guns blazing. But yeah, if you don't want to support me, hey, go support my kid, and I'll fight you on that one if you don't. But I think that it's not about the bracelets. It's not. And us as entrepreneurs, we know it's not about the bracelets. Mine's not about the shirts. Yours isn't. It is about the podcast because that's what's bringing value. But you as an entrepreneur, You as an entrepreneur, like if no one ever watched your podcast, would you still want to have these conversations with people?
100%. I'm learning so much.
Right. It's not about the podcast, it's about the conversation for you. Like if I were to guess. Like
Yes.
for me, it's not about the shirt. It's about the interaction and the motivation and what this business is bringing to the table, like the connection that I can bring to families through my shirts. Like it's, I don't even like wearing graphic shirts. I really don't, but I know the value that they can bring when you are just going that extra step with your family and
Yeah,
showing your kids that you care, the confidence you can build in them just by having their name on your shirt at a sporting event. Like,
absolutely.
kids will remember that. It will remember that.
100%.
So
I remember so much as a kid, and what's great is you two are going to create so many memories, and you're going to create a great foundation. And I can't wait to see what happens when she gets a hold of a 3D printer, when she can run her own code and everything, right?
hmm
But man, I see so much opportunity there, and I just want to thank you for taking the time to come on the show and share your thoughts, and also. Um, Share your confidence and share your assuredness that everything will be fine. I think that was um, a fresh thing that people need to listen to, and I applaud you for who you are, because talking about mom guilt, talking about not a lot of things that are going on in society that are these topics, and that people are hanging on to. I love that you're like, okay, look, I get it. It's real, but let's move and let's work. And I'm doing it too. And again, you're going back to what you said. I can show. I may not do it for you, but I can inspire you by just I'm out here doing it,
hmm
and I applaud that. It's being an entrepreneur, being the type of personality you are. It's a lonely island sometimes, but I know that people will get value from your story, and I know that they will definitely lean on your words, because you are doing it. So thank you so much for coming on the show. And before we leave, I just want to say, guys. I will leave all the links for the website, social media, everything in the comments below. Make sure that you link up with Lacey and Ashtyn. They've got an amazing, great idea. And can you please make sure that you tell Ashtyn thank you for being on the show? I really enjoyed having her, and she's so cute. And it's just great watching you and your family grow. And our family's growing like at the exact same rate. Well, actually, not
I
anymore either. So
seriously, right? Yeah, we're done.
we're
We're
done
not
too.
growing anymore.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show, and we'll talk to you guys later.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for having
All
us.
right, thank you.